Am I wrong? Nefarious Wiggles says, am I wrong for kicking my teenage daughter out of the house? Please bear with me on this one. It's going to be long, and please don't judge before reading the whole thing. Some backstory. I'm 34 male, a father of 7, ages from 18 to 7 months, and was married to the mother of 6 of my children for 17 years. 3 years ago I divorced their mom, let's call her Monster, because she was a narcissist and severely mentally abusive to all of us. Out of all of my children, none of them suffered her abuse more than my youngest daughter, let's call her M, 14F now. M for some reason was more often than not the target of Monster. I'm not sure why, but despite her denials Monster seems to hate M even to this day. M is my baby girl, but she's severely messed up from a long history of problems. Besides being the target of Monster, she was also sexually abused when she was 8 by someone that I thought was my friend. She suffered at his hands multiple times for 3 years without anyone ever knowing. Between the 7 Monsters' consistent targeting, M has ended up with multiple mental health issues including pretty severe depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and most obviously PTSD. Sprinkle in some middle child syndrome, and she's a recipe for disaster. Despite all of these shortcomings, she's still my baby and I can't help seeing her through rose-colored glasses. She was the final straw in my divorce from her mom. For 17 years I suffered my ex-wife's psychosis to do what was best for my children and keep them in a single family home. However, 3 months before I kicked my ex, I realized that M had been wearing long sleeves constantly for weeks ever since Monster's last attack on M. I made her show me and found slices on both arms from wrists to biceps. That was the moment that I realized that staying with Monster wasn't doing anything but hurting my kids. I took the next 3 months preparing myself for the inevitable war and kicked Monster out in Feb of 2021. As soon as she left I put all of my children in therapy and have spent the last 3 years becoming the father that I never was before. I fixed myself, became more involved in every aspect of my children's lives, and met an amazing woman that treated my kids like they were her own. Meanwhile, Monster has abandoned the children on and off. Her mental health problems have taken their toll on the kids as she picks and chooses when and how to be involved with them. My current wife stepped up within only weeks of us getting together, and the kids all have a fantastic relationship with her, including M. However, during these 3 years we've all been put through the ringer by M. A short list of her actions have been multiple fights that left several of her siblings bloody, stealing hundreds of dollars from my wife and I, vandalizing property, constantly lying, stealing alcohol, taking prescription and recreational drugs, being expelled every year of school since, and the list goes on and on. I've done everything I can think of to help her. Every professional that I've spoken to has given me things to try, and I've done all of them. I've spent more time with her trying to explain the possible repercussions of her actions than I've spent with any of the other kids. Then, 6 months ago, when my youngest was born, she mellowed out. Until yesterday. While I was out taking M's siblings to school, my wife and M got into a pretty heated argument. M was sitting on the stairs complaining about a small shard of glass in her foot that she got from trespassing at another neighborhood's pool. This isn't the first time either. She's been caught before, and we were given photos and threatened with police involvement the next time it happened. My wife told her as much, and M got defensive. She kept insisting that it had never happened. My wife continued to tell her it had. M got really aggressive and began to tower over my wife and was nose to nose with her. Keep in mind that they're both standing on the stairs with my wife standing 2 steps below M. M began swinging on my wife. My wife is just as tall as M and almost 30 lbs. 13.6 kilograms smaller. She's also not a fighter but M is. M tried pushing my wife down the stairs. Wife managed to get behind M to try and hold her, but M reversed it and put her in a chokehold. M's older sister, 16, heard the noise and came running, managing to pull M off. Then the two of them started trying to pull M to her room. At that moment M's younger brother, 12, who M shares a room with, had just woken up and was coming out of their room when M hit him, and he feel hitting his head on the corner of our snake's terrarium. Thank God my brother was here who came running, and M finally stopped then ran to her room. I came home only moments after the fight ended, and M ran out the door. I chased after her and told her to get back in the house but she refused. I grabbed her to try and pull her back but then she fought me, at which point I thought frick this and let her go. She swore that she wasn't going to come back to the house ever, and I told her that I was okay with it. We called the cops, reported her as a runaway, and got a lovely visit from Child Protective Services who agreed that there's not much we could do for M that we hadn't already done. CPS cleared us and closed the case. M's now at a friend's house, a friend that I don't know. Apparently, the friend's mom has taken her in. None of us have seen or spoken to her since yesterday. Personally, I'm upset that I couldn't save her from herself, but at the same time I feel like I have to protect my family. Am I wrong for kicking her out? And edit. Firstly, I'd like to emphasize that this isn't the first time she's beat someone in the house. Far from it actually. With the exception of myself, she's also bigger than everyone else. Also, when she fights, she doesn't stop until she's physically restrained. If it hadn't been for my other daughter stepping in, she wouldn't have stopped choking my wife. She fights to incapacitate or worse. I've seen some of her fight videos she posts online, and watched her as she's repeated kicked people's heads into asphalt after already winning the fight. After yesterday everyone in the house is scared of her and what she might be capable of. Secondly, before anyone brings it up, the cops didn't do shit about the assault at all. Nor did they seem concerned in the slightest. Thirdly, several of you seem to be under the assumption that I haven't done anything to help her through the years, which isn't true by any stretch of the imagination. Over the last few years she's been to therapy, psychiatrists, medications, inpatient mental facilities. We've tried punishments of damn near every kind to try and discourage her and nothing has stuck. Every piece of advice that any of them gave to us, we tried. Hell, one of her psychiatrists told us we had to get cameras in the house to protect ourselves. And edit 2, a lot of you seem to be under the impression that I'm going no contact, and I can understand why after rereading, but that's not the case. I'm taking some time for all of us to cool off, and I've spoken to the friend's mom. If she calls me and needs something then I'd absolutely go to her. She has her phone, I took her clothes and book bag. I just can't have her living in the house. And edit 3, we didn't find out about the SAP until after my divorce, and the instant I found out I called the police. The man was convicted of almost 30 pedo charges and apparently was a serial pedo. He's now doing 15 years. And edit 4, I just wanted to add that we tried to get her to go stay with family. But my Sills, Mill, Mom, several other family refused to take her in because they are scared of what she'll do. And edit 5, wow. The number of people that are judging that Em and her brother are sharing a room is kind of unreal. We have a 5-bedroom house. My two oldest have their own, my wife and I, then the others share rooms too per. They asked for the living arrangement, they like it, because they are closer to age and get along with each other better. Yes, they get privacy, and are very respectable of one another. CPS doesn't have an issue with it, so I'm not sure why you guys do. The fact that you do is kind of concerning and makes me wonder what you think could possibly happen tbh. And edit 6, a lot of people are getting hung up on the math. I say married for 17 years because it's easier for me. We were together for 17, legally married for 14. Update, the friend's mom is calling me later to talk about the situation. I've talked to Em and asked if we could spend some daddy/daughter time. Friday we are going to go hang out, get some dinner, and whatever else she wants to. Snowwoods4839 says. You didn't kick her out, she left. Do what you need to do to secure your home and ensure she can't harm anyone in the house. Nefarious Mrwiggle says. Thank you. Ethery Bloodsky says. Well, this is a hard situation. I can only imagine how frustrating it is for you. Technically, you didn't kick her out, she ran away. If she is a danger to the family, it's probably best that she stays with her friend for now. She may need more help than you can provide, sadly. Lamadrama 2021 says. Sounds like she left, not that you kicked her out. Thestritangel says. You have to do what you have to do, and whatever feels right. I think it's right to take some time apart, space from M. She needs like deep hypnotherapy plus counseling therapy to heal those underlying wounds that are causing her to act out. Nefarious Mrwiggle says. I agree, but I also feel as if it's a you can lead a horse to water thing. She's been pretty non-responsive to everything we've tried. Debating Squiz says. You need to start realizing that her brain developed differently than it should have when she experienced those traumas, so expecting certain things and then punishing her if she doesn't do them serves no purpose and is probably antagonizing. Have you worked with therapists that are going to go back and start to rebuild the synaptic connections that should have been formed in the first place? That understand the interplay between your current interactions with her and her neural structure, as well as how the past interactions structured her brain in the first place. Google a book called Psychological Trauma and the Developing Brain. It will change your entire perspective on how to relate to your daughter. Proper District 8608 says. WTF is a child who was sexually assaulted sharing a room at her age with a brother? Speaking from experience, sexual assault victims need personal space. And certainly not saying anything against your son, but any therapist worth their weight would have told you that. Aselusk says. I was kicked out at 17 by my mom, at the encouragement of a stepdad. The fences have been mended in the years between, but for my entire childhood my mom chose her various husbands over my brother and me, and when we were with our dad, he most often left us with an alcoholic grandpa and an equally alcoholic cousin who let us run literally wild for many years. I recognize that emotional neglect isn't the same thing as physical abuse, and I was never in trouble with the law myself, but I can say from personal experience, looking back with the clarity and maturity of an adult, that the thing I needed most at 17 was to be talked to rather than at. I needed someone I could trust, because I had never experienced it. I behaved the way I did, because feeling like no one cared about me, why the hell should I care about myself? I don't think you're wrong in the strict sense of the word, and everything here is just my view based on experience, but I think it could be handled differently. Flobberby1 says. She needs a group home that's staffed 24/7, for her protection and the society's protection. She can do therapy, schooling and have her behavior de-escalated by people who trained at doing this. It's not a forever thing, unless needed. She can earn her independence by proving changed behavior. Mags Zekat says. So you kicked the ex out in February 2021 and now it is September 2023, and not even 3 years later you have a 7-month-old with your new wife. Wow. That is sure a quick turnaround time, and to me, it sounds like you were way more concerned with finding someone else to impregnate and to play mom to the other 6 lids than on helping your kids heal. This probably is fueling a lot of your daughter's issues. You are wrong. Natatak89 says. Sometimes, people are beyond your help. You can keep pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom, but it won't stop leaking. You can't hold your finger over the hole forever either. Most people need to let the water drain and dry out completely before that bucket can be fixed. Your daughter has a lot of holes in her bucket, and you've tried helping to the best of your ability, your whole family has. In trying to help with her bucket, your other family members have issues with their buckets and are getting holes from your daughter. You're not giving up on her. You're doing the best you can with everything and everyone you've got. Maybe it's time to let her drain and dry out until she's ready to be fixed, and she may never want to be fixed by you. She has issues with her monster. She needs to be able to face those issues when she feels ready. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.